12-year-old Malik walked down the crowded middle school hallway, the buzz of lunchtime chatter filling the air. He wore oversized camouflage pants and an old army jacket, faded, worn, clearly second-hand. To Malik, they weren't just clothes. They were a quiet tribute to his father, a soldier currently serving overseas. But to his classmates, they were something to laugh at. "Hey look, it's GI Bro," someone shouted from behind. Snickers erupted around him. Another voice chimed in, louder and crueler, "Is he trying to be a soldier or homeless?" Malik didn't stop walking. He didn't fire back. He just kept his head down, trying to ignore the sting in his eyes and the tightening in his chest. The laughter followed him like a shadow, echoing off the lockers, wrapping around him with invisible shame. What they didn't see, what they never bothered to ask, was the small, crumpled photo he kept folded deep in his jacket pocket. It was a picture of his father standing tall in uniform beside a massive Black Hawk helicopter. Malik looked at it every morning before school, drawing strength from it, holding on to the hope that one day, his father would come home and they'd walk these halls together. But right now, all he could do was bite his lip and keep moving. Every joke, every smirk chipped away at his pride. Still, he didn't let go of that photo. Because while they saw a boy in baggy camo and laughed, Malik knew exactly who he was, and who he was becoming. Behind his silence wasn't shame. It was a quiet fire, waiting. The school auditorium buzzed with excitement as the Veterans Day assembly began. Rows of students sat upright, watching proudly as parents in uniform took the stage, each introduced with applause and admiration. Malik sat quietly near the back, his camouflage jacket neatly zipped, his shoulders a little straighter today. Next to him, an empty chair. It was meant for his father. But once again, it remained vacant. His teacher knelt beside him, her voice soft and kind. "Is your father attending today, Malik?" He shook his head without looking up. "He's serving, he never really comes home." There was a pause, a gentle nod from the teacher, and then she moved on. Malik tried to keep his face still, strong, but his fingers curled tightly around the edge of his seat. As the ceremony continued, applause echoed for the other kids' parents. Some classmates glanced his way. Others didn't bother to hide their whispers. "He's just wearing that jacket again for attention," one girl murmured. "His dad's probably not even a real soldier," someone else added, barely under their breath. Malik heard it all, every word sticking to him like dust he couldn't brush off. He kept his gaze locked on the stage, blinking fast. That picture in his pocket felt heavier than ever. They didn't understand. They didn't see the nights he stayed up waiting for a message, the silence that followed every news report from overseas, or the ache of missing someone who was still alive but so far away. To them, it was just camouflage. To Malik, it was his connection to the man who taught him strength, sacrifice, and how to stand tall, even in an empty chair. The air in the history classroom was unusually quiet as the teacher asked each student to share something meaningful about their family. When it was Malik's turn, he hesitated. All eyes were on him, and for a moment, he considered just passing. But then, slowly, he reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a worn, folded photo, creases worn white from years of careful unfolding. It was a picture of his father, standing tall beside a UH-60 Black Hawk, desert sand swirling behind him. "He's been flying medevac missions since before I was born," Malik said, voice steady but low. "He saves soldiers when they're hurt. Gets them out fast. He sends me this photo every time he's safe." The room was still. A few students shifted in their seats, unsure of what to say. For a flicker of a second, Malik felt something like respect begin to take shape in their silence. Then one boy scoffed. "Anyone can Google a picture like that." Laughter bubbled up in the back of the room. Malik looked down at the photo, hands trembling slightly. He clenched his jaw and said quietly, "I didn't Google this. He sent it to me, from Iraq. The laughter faded, but the damage was done. The teacher gave a half-hearted nod and moved to the next student, trying to ease the tension. But Malik barely heard what came next. The words had pierced deeper than he expected. He sat back in his chair, holding the photo tightly, a knot in his chest. They didn't believe him. And worse, they didn't care to. It wasn't just a picture. It was proof of sacrifice, of love, of a father's promise to his son. And now, it felt like no one saw it but him. It was a bright Friday afternoon, and the school football field buzzed with energy. Students lined the bleachers, cheering and laughing, the scent of popcorn and cut grass drifting through the air. Malik sat quietly near the back, his camouflage jacket zipped all the way up, trying to disappear into the noise around him. Then, everything changed. A deep, thunderous vibration rolled through the sky. Heads turned. The cheerleaders froze. The crowd fell into silence as the sound grew louder. Above them, a Black Hawk helicopter sliced through the clouds, its rotors roaring with authority. It circled once, lowering steadily toward the school's backfield. Teachers ran to control the crowd, students screamed in disbelief and awe. The chopper hovered, then landed with controlled grace on the grass, wind kicking up dust and paper cups. The side door opened. Out stepped a tall man in full military uniform, helmet under his arm, chest straight, eyes scanning the field. Malik's breath caught. It was his dad. He didn't wait. Malik dropped everything and sprinted across the grass. He ran faster than he ever had, heart pounding harder than the chopper's rotors. When he reached his father, he was pulled into the strongest, safest hug he'd ever known. "I told you he was real," Malik whispered into his chest. His father smiled, eyes soft with pride. "I've always been right here, son." Gasps rippled through the crowd. No one said a word. No one laughed. Students who once mocked now stood frozen, mouths open, watching a real hero walk onto their field, and watching Malik walk taller than he ever had. In that moment, everything changed. The hallway on Monday morning felt like a different world. No snickering. No whispers behind lockers. Just quiet respect. As Malik walked through the corridor in his same old camouflage jacket, the one they used to laugh at, heads turned, but now with something else in their eyes, admiration. Some students nodded. Others stepped aside to let him pass, as if the air around him carried weight. Malik kept walking, shoulders relaxed but proud, his father's picture still tucked safely in his pocket, but today, he didn't need to reach for it. Then one of the boys who used to mock him, one of the loudest, approached from the side. He looked nervous, uncertain, like he wasn't sure if he'd be forgiven. He held out a hand. "Hey, your dad's a legend," he said quietly. Malik looked at him for a second, then nodded and shook his hand. "I don't wear this because it's cool," Malik said, his voice calm. "I wear it because I'm proud of who I come from." The boy gave a small nod, stepping back respectfully. Later that day, as Malik walked past the lunch tables, he noticed something new. A few other kids were wearing camo, jackets, hats, even a bandana or two. Not in mockery. But in solidarity. In honor. No one said it out loud, but the message was clear: they saw him now. They understood. And for the first time in a long time, Malik didn't feel invisible. He felt seen. Respected. And more than anything, he felt proud. Malik's journey began in silence, in the quiet pain of being misunderstood, mocked, and dismissed for something he held sacred. His camouflage jacket wasn't a fashion statement or a cry for attention, it was a symbol of honor, of sacrifice, and of a bond with a father who was fighting for something bigger than himself. Through ridicule in the hallways, whispers at assemblies, and disbelief in the classroom, Malik stood tall, not with loud words, but with quiet strength. He held on to his pride, his love, and the truth of who he was, even when no one else believed in it. But everything changed the moment the sky opened up and a Black Hawk descended, when the man behind the photo became real in front of everyone's eyes. In that breathtaking moment, the teasing stopped. The laughter faded. And respect took its place. Malik didn't need revenge. He didn't need to prove anyone wrong with anger. He just needed to be seen, to be understood. And when he finally was, something remarkable happened. Those who once judged him began to listen, to learn, and even to follow. In the end, Malik's story isn't just about a helicopter landing on a football field. It's about the power of quiet dignity, the courage to hold on to who you are, and the moment the world finally catches up to the truth you've known all along. Sometimes, it takes just one moment, one powerful truth, to turn judgment into respect, and a boy into a symbol of pride.